So as we are officially on day 3 of this course, one thing that I wanted you to think about is figuring out your flow for working. So many students I know are working from the app, the Pulse app that they have on their phones, and it identifies what's due today and gives you a little bit heads up. You can look towards the calendar and what's due, but you don't necessarily get all the information that you need. And I know there's been many students who have tried to complete the entire course by simply going into the assignments outlined in the calendar, for example, here, right? So logging in, clicking on today, and seeing what's due today. So if I was a student, I could technically just go in here, figure out what the assignment is, and hand it in, as well as collective story time. So that way I'm making sure to hit my deadlines. But one thing that you're missing out on is all the information that you need. Now I know this is a little blurry, but reading through here, these are the things that you could and should be working on each day. You can actually, the reason I include this is so that you can see ahead as to what we're going to be doing by the end of the week. According to this schedule, by the 20th, on Friday, we're going to be heading into Unit 2. So we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of work to accomplish each day. The reason that I started including these, this is one day at a time as to what you need to be working on. So you can just look at what's due today, and that's not a bad system, but what you are missing out on is the information. And especially in a writer's craft course, there are a lot of writing exercise or pieces that come with the content that I want you to pay attention to. So here is a quick recommendation as to what I think you can and should be doing when you log in every single day. The reason this is on the course homepage is because I want you to be looking at what the goals are for today. This is to keep you on track so that you know what we should be working on. You can actually, if you wanted to, keep up the daily posts so that you can go back and see what assignments you can and should have been working on up until this point. Okay? So one thing that I want you to pay attention to is not just I need to make sure that I'm working on those today. They are in Unit 1, Activity 3, is that we are going to be working on Activities 3 and 4. When I look through the schedule, these are all activity, and the only thing to do with Activity 4 is that it's asking me to read content and make notes. So let's get into that. So if I was to read that, I know what I'm working towards, but I'm going to get into Activity 3 because I actually haven't read the content yet. So let's get into content. And I'm going to be focusing on Unit 1, Activity 3, because the assumption is that I've completed the work for Unit 1, Activity 1 and 2. Unit 1, Activity 3. So when the instructions say, I want you to read content and make notes, one of the key questions I get is, what am I making notes on? Well, the first thing that you can do is content information. You can actually copy and paste some of the work from here into a notebook, things that you might find important. So as I'm reading through, I'm reading through all of the different pieces here. The power of language. Here I have a discussion that I need to participate in. After considering what Kim Kryzan believes, it's time to share your own beliefs. If you were to go back and look, here's the information right here. So potentially what you could be doing is making notes on that particular piece. Sometimes it will be summarizing information. Sometimes it will be terms and definitions. All of these might be important for you to come back to at some point. Here in this particular content, we have a discussion. I would like to highly encourage you to type up your discussion posts in your writer's notebook first before you actually post it. And I recommend this for a number of reasons. Number one, and the most important one, is that some students have found that when they go into the discussion, they think they've posted it, but it ends up losing it. And then everything they've typed has disappeared. And sometimes that's user error, and sometimes that's just a glitch. So if you type it up into your writer's notebook first, then you don't have to worry about losing it. If you go back and find that it didn't post, then you can simply look back to your writer's notebook and copy and paste it again if it didn't post. You also then have a record of everything that you've been posting about. So the other things that I want you to be thinking about is in the content, there are activities designed to create ideas for you or even get you thinking about aspects of writing. Here is an example of content information that can and should be copied into your writer's notebook. When we look at this information, it's a lot of terms and definitions. And so we can write down some of these as understanding what exactly this particular activity is asking us. Now, part of what I asked you to do is to look at activities designed to create ideas or even brainstorming for assignments. Activities like this, where you're asked to So, as I was saying, activities like this, you don't necessarily need to record in your writer's notebook, but there may be ideas from it that potentially, or a reflection that you may want to record. So as you're going through these, again, enrichment activities, those are another one that you can include. Here we have the assignment that you're going to be working on today. So you could be making notes in your writer's notebook and then can actually take part of that and hand it into the Dropbox. For this particular assignment, you're going to be going into the collaborative slideshow. In your email, you've been given a literary device. You've been assigned one in particular. You're going to go into that slideshow and input the necessary information outlined in this assignment. And then you're also going to make sure that you hand it into the Dropbox that you can access here or in assignments. So hopefully by looking through the content and knowing all of the activities, you can see the background information leading up to that assignment, that this is what you can and should be doing. You should be working with the content instead of just assignment deadlines.